October, cultural leaders from over 75 countries came together in Melbourne to discuss how art connects with all facets of society at the 5th International Summit on Arts and Culture, hosted by the Australia Council and IFACCA, the International Federation of Arts Councils and Culture Agencies. Art connecting with the environment, Indigenous culture, technology, health, and a sense of place all came under scrutiny.
It's fantastic to celebrate here in Australia, in Melbourne.
And I'd like to welcome delegates to this 5th World Summit with over 70 countries represented.
I will tell you what the reasons for the smoking ceremony. It's about rituals, and every culture around the world has rituals.
Far away in another life.
Kata alepiri muti jena bina guru win bin bi mulya.
It is the poorest arrondissement of Paris, of course, and with all these migrants coming from sub-Saharan Africa, from India, from Turkey. One of my first actions was to make it a big exhibition called Creole Factory. It was a contemporary art exhibition about artists coming from the Caribbean islands and talking about social issues. So we did this exhibition, and it was an extraordinary artistic success.
In France, we design hospitals with architects, and one of the major criteria is the aesthetic beauty of the place. Instead of putting people with mental health problems in mental health institutions, why don't we put them in film schools? The filmmaker is a user of mental health services who is also, at the same time, training as a filmmaker. What you feel very much with people with his particular problem is, in fact, if we don't consider it as a problem, but more as another attribute, suddenly we see this person has other perceptions of the world. We see when he's walking along the floor, the sound of the floorboards takes on a whole music. He looks at the light, there's an insect in the light bulb, and suddenly this thing takes on a whole new life.
Ibrahim Kashush will sing no more. In early July, a few days after leading tens of thousands in a chant against the Syrian tyranny, this folk singer's throat was slit, his vocal cords removed, and his body dumped in a river. Egypt's representative to this year's Venice Biennale, Ahmed Bassioni, a young multimedia artist, was cut down by snipers' bullets in Tahrir Square. What is the murder of an artist, if not the ultimate form of censorship? We cannot but conclude that the sword, too often, is mightier than the pen.
Our work is to set up a community process over a long period of time that makes shifts for individuals and the communities they live in, and to think about the content of the work and the work itself as something that's sublime and poetic. You've got people who are not necessarily turning up, and people who, when they do turn up, they want to destroy what's going on. So you need to look at new ways of creating in that environment.
Khoj in Hindi and in Urdu ironically means to search and to find. And it is a small not-for-profit arts organization committed to experimentation, to pushing the envelope of contemporary art practice and exchange in India.
I've met a lot of Indigenous people here from all over the world, and we're all talking the same language.
It's been absolutely wonderful meeting people from around the world, getting a sense of perspective and to understand that you're not alone in the struggle to do what you need to do.
It's great to see people from different parts of the world
joining this summit.
I realize that I am connected with a whole global network that are all moving towards a very positive thing in terms of cultural policy for the world.
What I love, even from the first session, is that we get a view from all around the world. You know, normally the kind of conferences I end up tend to be Eurocentric, and what's wonderful is that we have the presence of Indigenous Australia, Spain, Bogota, France, Guadeloupe, Martinique, places like these. So I think we're getting a very interesting world view of both people and place.